Is that how you say it? Is it Karuch or Karuchi? Either way, every time I see that name, I'm always like, I feel like that name got too many letters in it. Tonight, fans fling fury at Philly's finest for favoring Chris Brown's flow. Police pooch punishes poor passenger in painful predicament that pushes past the pale, and my primary prayer is that this patron presses charges. Confederate kudos create a killer calendar clash of cosplaying kooks caring concerningly more for casual Caucasian care than for causal candor. See these stories and more of what we're talking about on this week's episode of The Blackman Show. Welcome to the BS. Now let's go. What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, and this is The Blackman Show, a place where we can dissect the news with a little bit of 7 cents, sponsored by the good people at theblackmanshow.com. So make sure you hit that like button like it stole something, and let's get it in. So first up, we're diving back into a story that's as complicated as it is tragic. Now, make sure you click here somewhere to check out our previous coverage after this episode to find out more about it. But the TLDR is about the brutal St. Louis encounter between two teenagers. You had Kaylee Gain and Maurnice Declue. Now, this wasn't your typical schoolyard scuffle. It ended with Kaylee in the hospital missing a piece of her skull and Maurnice facing charges that could alter the course of her young life. So here's where things get kind of tangled. Despite the severity of the attack and constant requests by her parents, there's an argument to be made about not trying Maurnice as an adult. Why? Because context matters. Kaylee, recovering remarkably from her injuries, was actually suspended from school for fighting the day before this altercation took place. It turns out she wasn't just an innocent bystander in her dealings with Maurnice. Texts between the two show that this fight was mutually agreed upon, though certainly no one agreed to the tragic outcome. So let's kind of break it down. On one side, you have Kaylee, right? A 16-year-old who's now navigating a world with a helmet as her constant companion, and I have zero jokes for that, for real. And then on the other hand, you have Maurnice, a 15-year-old who, up until that moment, was known as an honor student and an athlete, who's now vilified and possibly facing adult charges for a moment where things went horribly wrong. Now, from the articles I've seen, it seems the call for harsh punishment on Maurnice is a gut reaction fueled by the horrific injuries that Kaylee suffered. But if we take a step back, right, fueled by a desire for justice rather than revenge, I think we need to ask, does escalating the charges against a young teen serve the greater good, or does it perpetuate a cycle of tragedy? I mean, we're at a crossroads where justice, rehabilitation, and societal influence are all intersecting. How we navigate this will say a lot about our values as a community. But let me know your thoughts in those comments below, and let's get the conversation started on what you think should happen and what should be the outcome of this tragic situation. Now, without switching gears or even leaving the city, we've got another story of a teen's head meeting the concrete in the worst way. The only difference this time is the assailant isn't a peer, but an adult. Now, just this month, in a scene straight out of a horror film, a 15-year-old McDonald's worker named Araya Lynch found herself the target of a brutal attack that left her with a fractured skull, among other serious injuries. This assault didn't come out of the blue, but followed a chaotic showdown in the very parking lot of the restaurant where she worked.
I just want him in jail and charges to be pressed. I just was trying to protect myself at the moment.
Coming up here might be hard to watch. Here is that moment captured on the cell phone of a witness. You can see McDonald's employee, 15-year-old Araya Lynch.
So the aggressor was Johnny Ricks, right? 25-year-old dude who escalated the volatile situation that started over something as mundane as a noisy disruption at the drive-thru. Araya, just doing her job, suggested to the rowdy group, led by Ricks, to come inside. You know, bring it on inside of you. Like, come on, because I can't hear you that well, come inside so I can get your order. Not come in if you want to, you know what I'm saying? I personally, I don't think a 15-year-old is going to do that to a grown man. Not a 15-year-old woman is going to do that to a grown man on the clock. That's just the way I'm looking at it. But I've been wrong about other things. So this reasonable request somehow flipped the switch in Ricks, who has a criminal background diverse enough to make any seasoned detective raise an eyebrow, with public records showing charges dating back to 2016 ranging from theft and fraud to excessive speeding, disorderly conduct, and even littering. And just last April, he was arrested for aggravated assault. So why not double down this April and see how far you can go? Now, inside the McDonald's, the situation deteriorated quickly, with Ricks and his people terrorizing the staff, throwing objects, spitting, and just creating havoc. Now, this melee inevitably spilled outside, where Ricks, in a shocking display of violence, was captured on video that I will not be showing, dragging Araya across the parking lot before delivering some crushing stomps to her head. Well, you know how stomps go. Now, this is a stark reminder of the vulnerability of workers, especially teens, who face unpredictable hazards. Araya, for her part, now out of the hospital, is bravely considering returning to work, which is a testament to her resilience, if you ask me.
They was getting loud and doing the most and being obnoxious in the drive-thru, so we said if you wanted to get your order took, come inside.
But also a chilling indicator of the economic pressures that young workers face. I mean, how important is that $12.30 to you? 'Cause that's minimum wage in Missouri. Now, with Rick's history of criminal behavior, the call for justice isn't just about rehabilitation, it's about protection and accountability. But I'm sure they'll find a way to make it political just in time for the election. But that's where I'll pass the question off to you. How should McDonald's go about protecting their workers?
With our employees and customers is paramount.
Every corporation gins to maximize profits while moving to less human workers. What do you think a story like this means for the future of fast food? And lastly, given the severity of the attack, what measures should be taken to ensure Ricks faces the appropriate consequences? Personally, I just think that this incident is a grim reminder of the dangers lurking in everyday settings and the heroic struggles of those like Araya, who face long recoveries and the daunting task of moving forward. Your thoughts on these issues are crucial, so please share your perspectives below, and let's get this conversation started so we can figure out how to make a safer community for everybody without the stomps. All right, kids, come, gather around. Gather around. It's that time of year again in Mississippi. No, and we're not talking about another coach leaving J-State in the lurch, right, Dion? Okay. We're talking about Governor Tate Reeves spinning the hits from way back in the 1860s with the annual declaration of April as the Confederate Heritage Month. Because nothing says let's honor our past like a month dedicated to the Confederacy, right? And yeah, that's right, I said annual, as in they do this every year, or at least almost every year since 1993, proving once again that America is a country that cannot let its losers go. And yeah, I'm looking at you, Donald Trump, and you, Caitlin Clark, and you, Southern Confederate state. You get the picture. So down in Biloxi, Beauvoir, the last home of former Confederacy president, and I use that term lightly, Jefferson Davis, yeah, that guy, is where this year's festivities kicked off. They hit us with the Facebook announcement because, of course, if you're going to celebrate the Confederacy, you might as well do it where everybody can leave a comment or two. You know, really get that public town square feel. I'm sure the locals lamenting lynching lines and aloof ladies of lure lured the lured locals to lay it on the line for a lasting legacy of motherfucking lies. Because that's how you keep a loser's lore for a lifetime. Now, the proclamation reads like a broken record. We need to reflect on our nation's past to gain insight for our mistakes and successes. Insight? Seems more like a sight for sore eyes, considering we're still debating whether the Confederacy is a part of our heritage to be proud of in the first damn place. Quick hint, the answer's no. Now, let's talk about the setting of this annual declaration. Beauvoir. It's like Disneyland for the lost cause, right? Sponsored by none other than the Sons of Confederate Veterans, with the Daughters of the Confederacy somewhere close behind. I'm sure of it. Now, they're keeping their heritage alive by using $100,000 annually from the state. That's your tax dollars, Mississippi. That's your money. Working hard to make sure the kids learn about the valor of the Confederacy instead of say, the truths of slavery and succession, all of that pesky critical race theory truth that hurts some sensitive senators, statesmen, and Southern sycophants. And I don't think this is a new tune. Again, every Mississippi governor since 1993, Republican and Democrat, has been DJing this same damn track. Only once did a governor skip a beat, and that was for a, quote, month of unity, end quote, in 2019. But I'm gonna guess that was more because of COVID and less because of constraint. But Governor Reeves, he's got a special love for these throwbacks. He's been spotted rallying at an SCV national gathering surrounded by Confederate flags and cotton plants for decor. Because, nothing says respectful remembrance of states' rights like cotton at a freaking Confederate rally. Now, he even went on to record in 2020 defending the old Mississippi state flag, the last to still have the Southern Cross on it, and those Confederate statues standing against the mobs of protesters, sponsored by the Daughters of the Confederacy. See, I knew they'd be in there somewhere. But yeah, those terrible people demanding justice and a fair recount of history.
How dare they? Oh, perish the thought. It hurts. No more truth. Oh.
And just when you thought he couldn't possibly be more out of touch, in 2021, Reeves took to Fox News to declare there is no systemic racism in America. And I, for one, sir, say thank you. Thank you. You've obviously figured it out. There's nothing else to worry about. They've got it figured out. We can wrap it up. Let's go. That's right, folks. All those disparities and ongoing injustices you're facing, that Floyd thing, those series of names we know now like the back of our hand, like Tatiana Jefferson, Breonna Taylor, Alton Sterling, all that's just a figment of your imagination, according to the governor. And to cap it all off, he signed that critical race theory ban into law. Because, what better way to handle the history of racial injustice than to ban schools from teaching about it? So I think the real lesson here, children, is if you close your eyes, it simply doesn't exist. I mean, we've been doing that to Palestine for the longest. So here we are, another Confederate Heritage Month. While some are popping champagne and toasting to antebellum nostalgia, many of us are still waiting for a celebration that acknowledges the full breadth of American history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. At this point, we just looking for the nation to make good on its promises, freedom, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, equality, all of that stuff. Still waiting. So, Mississippi, maybe next year we can skip the remix and get to a track that's a little more in tune with the realities of our real histories. But until then, we'll keep pushing back, keep speaking out, and keep demanding a playlist that includes all of America's voices, because our history just ain't 1 month, it's every day. But this right here, absolutely not. In a world where mistaken identity should get you an apology at most, Brandon Upchurch got a K9 unit and a hospital visit instead. Because, why bother with a simple, my bad, when you can unleash some good old-fashioned, racially induced law enforcement on somebody instead? So you've got Brandon, a 38-year-old black man from Toledo, Ohio, who had the distinct pleasure of experiencing firsthand what happens when police can't read. Here's a hint. It doesn't involve a friendly handshake and a wave goodbye. Just a hint.
They instantly came out with their guns drawn. Then asked me anything.
Shut the truck off. Do it now.
Upchurch makes his way to the grass just as the K9 unit inches closer. Upchurch with his hands up.
On the ground, do it now. You're gonna get bit.
That dog biting him on the arm.
He was going for my face. Luckily, I put my arm up and he got me.
So while driving his cousin home from work, real criminal activity, right? He got more than what he bargained for. The police, in their infinite wisdom, mistook his vehicle for a stolen one. And how did they greet him? Guns drawn, of course. Like he was auditioning for a villain role in a bad cop movie or any episode of Chicago PD. Situation quickly escalated from zero to freaking ridiculous. Brandon was just wanting to know why he was being stopped, ended up getting treated to a special performance featuring Toledo's finest and their furry toothy partner. I mean, dude tried to comply, albeit a bit confused and probably scared out of his freaking mind. The next thing you know, down goes Brandon, and in goes the K9, biting him not once, not twice, but 7 times. Not for me. It definitely wasn't for me. But yeah, that's right, 7 times. Because it seems like they have no problem with deploying the dogs on attack mode, but reversing that action seems like they still got to work out the kinks, you know what I'm saying? Apparently the dog didn't get the memo that Brandon wasn't actually a threat. But let's not overlook the piece de resistance. After all the chaos, an officer casually realizes the plate was a mishit. Oh, the irony. Too bad they didn't figure that out before turning a traffic stop into a scene from a horror flick. And Brandon? He just wanted some medical help, but instead he got called a petulant child, you know, because asking for a doctor after being wrongfully mauled now qualifies as childish behavior, I guess. They said the police are supposed to protect and serve, not attack and accuse based on faulty tech. But honestly, I don't know. We have to realize that there are still Confederate-loving people programming some of this tech. It's like using a calculator that you can't add and then being surprised when your budget's getting attacked by a fucking dog. And the cherry on top, Brandon was charged with resisting arrest and obstruction, because in some alternate universe, asking what did I do while a police dog is rearranging your arm is a sign of resistance. You're just supposed to let it happen. You gotta let the dog bite you. Why are you trying to block the dog from biting you? What is your damn problem? You supposed to let the dog bite you and kill you. That's what you're supposed to do. Why? Well, you're stupid. You're the one that's stupid. I personally feel that the Toledo NAACP is right. We're not going back to the 60s, even if some folks missed the memo. This isn't just about one wrongful canine release either. It's about a pattern that feels all too familiar. It's about needing a real change, not just another training session that, you know, just checks a box. Now, Brandon says he's traumatized, and who can blame him? One minute, you're a free man. The next, you're a chew toy for a system that doesn't seem to know its head from its tail, and definitely doesn't know a Malibu from a pickup truck either. And this is all over a tag that wasn't even stolen. So here's to hoping justice isn't just another word in the dictionary for Brandon Upchurch. I hope he gets all the bread that he's due. Then maybe, just maybe, we can start fixing a system where a sneeze might cost you more than a tissue. If you fit the description, of course. And you know, suddenly I'm starting to find meaning in the "Let's Go Brandon" chant. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts and secure your teacups, because we're diving deep into 2024. The year that's shaping up to be the heavyweight champion of diss track drama. I can't remember a year with this much dissing going around, but this isn't just any amount of feuding, it seems. Like, this is a tale that's got more layers than a wedding cake at a reality TV reunion. Coincidentally, I actually was in a reality TV show not too long ago, doing my best to represent the men against a woman who was tricky. I'll just say that she was tricky, but I digress. Y'all can go check that out. 90 Day Fiance, go check that out. Okay, so it all begins with none other than Jill Scott, soulful songstress who's found herself at the center of a tornado for her recent praise of Chris Brown amidst his latest musical scandal. Jill Scott, the microphone fiend famous for hits like Golden, recently stepped into the Twitterverse minefield with a tweet just applauding Chris Brown's multifaceted talents. Yeah, Chris Brown, you know, that guy, whose abilities as a performer are often overshadowed by his controversial past, including his well-documented assault on Rihanna. Jill's tweet wasn't just a nod to Brown's artistry. Of course not. It was a full-blown salute, with her saying, "How does anybody sing like that, dance like that, act and rap like that? Beyond gifted." You know, just praising the man's talents. And this is really where things get spicy, because, you know, the Twitter streets don't play them games, and they didn't take too kindly to her comments, especially given Brown's history, you know what I'm saying? But the fact of the story is that Rihanna was the aggressor. Now, regardless of whatever Chris did to get her to think it was okay to put her hands on him to the point where he reacted the way that he did, all of that, in my opinion, is wrong. Nobody should be putting their hands on anyone. So I'm not sitting there trying to blame the victim, but the victim kind of started it. That's the truth of the story. Sorry.
3 hours later.
No, I ain't sorry. Why should I be sorry? Yeah, if y'all are still upset over that, then that just shows that you picking and choosing who the winners are, picking and choosing who you like, and just saying, well, I just like this person, so this is the person who I'm just choosing to win, regardless of if they lose. That's no way to be. I don't know. I'm of that mindset that's like, if somebody got a talent or a skill or an ability, then let them do the damn thing that they're doing, as long as the indiscretions aren't hurting people. Now, if the indiscretions are hurting people, well, you can still applaud the fact that they have this skill and ability, while at the same time letting them know, hey, you touching little kids. No diddy. Whatever it is. When confronted by fans, Jill doubled down, drawing from her personal anecdotes about her mother's violent ex-husband, who, despite his actions, was a skilled craftsman. Her argument: talent and personal flaws can coexist. Right, R. Kelly? See what I'm saying? What is that too soon? When can we bump and grind without, people looking at us funny? Let me know. Anyway, all of that stirred up a hornet's nest of criticism, with accusations of victim blaming, see, I told you, flying faster than Busta on Chris's Look at Me Now track. Let's connect the dots to Chris Brown's latest track, right? Blistering diss aimed at rapper Quavo. I mean, nothing says beef like rappers airing dirty laundry over beat, and this one is no different. This feud traces back to some beef over sharing a love interest, of course, because anyway, this time it doesn't involve Rihanna, thankfully, in that weak-ass diss that ASAP threw at Drake. I'm sorry. Does anybody even remember it? See that? Like I said. But this time it's about Chris's former love, Karrueche Tran. Is that how you say it? Is it Karrueche or Karrueche? Either way, every time I see that name, I'm always like, I feel like that name got too many letters in it. Karrueche? Karrueche. 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 Karrueche? 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 I don't know. Karrueche. And her going back and forth between Brown and Quavo. I just know, for me, I'm glad that everybody is still alive in all of these beefs so far. Fingers crossed. And isn't that the sort of battle that you all can really stand behind? But here's the $1 million question, right? Why now? Why are all of these high-ranking beefs happening? What's going on in the light-skinned camp with Drake and J. Cole going at it to try to see who's the better of them two versus Kendrick, I guess? Why ain't Lupe Fiasco even allowed in the conversation? Why did Rick Ross need to jump in? I mean, I get why he needed to jump in, but for real, why did he need to jump in? You know what I'm saying? What the hell is going on, for real? Why are all these beefs erupting like a high school volcano project in 2024? Could it be the mounting pressure of a world watching closely as every tweet can turn into a headline? Or maybe, just maybe, it's the thrill of the game where diss tracks boost streams and egos alike. I mean, following the money makes sense, as some of these rappers hold on to whatever supremacy they think they have, while the fans are the ultimate judges. But real quick, while we talking about this rap beef stuff, let's not forget about the ladies of rap. Where are they in this saga of spitting and dissing? I mean, other than Nicki going at Megan and all that, there hasn't been much on that side of the game. And that's not to say that the ladies only have to go against other ladies. I mean, personally, I'd love to see a rebirth of Roxanne Shante. Now, see, that's for y'all real heads out there. But as we gear up for a year only a third of the way through, with the Olympics, a presidential election, and whatever distraction P. Diddy's drama will serve us on the horizon, no Diddy, one thing is clear: the rap world is just getting warmed up. And Jill Scott? She's riding the storm out, thankfully, calling for compassion and reflection in a world that's quick to judge, while being even slower to forget one's personal indiscretions, where he reacted to a woman who was hitting on him. Not to say anybody deserves that, again, but Riri was doing the hitting, and nobody, again, should be putting their hands on anyone and think that they can do so with impunity. Nowadays, especially, you just don't know who you're dealing with, and that's on both sides.
I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either.
So, dear listeners, I turn it over to you. What's your take on Jill Scott's defense of Chris Brown? Is it possible to separate the art from the artists, or are the personal demons too loud to ignore? And what are your predictions for the next chapter of the 2024 Diss Track Diaries? Drop your thoughts, pick your sides, and let's get the conversation going. Because if there's one thing that 2024 has taught us, it's that in the rap game, anybody can get it. So with that said, who wants to try these 7 bars? Let's go. Let's go. And that is a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to cruise by our merch shop at theblackmanshow.com for some exclusive gear. You can also catch me on all the social platforms that show The Black Man, or join the conversation in our Facebook group or page, both named The Black Man Show. Now, if you dug this episode, do your boy a solid with the HBO special. Yep, help a brother out by smashing that like button, subscribing, and spreading the word, and sharing this with all your friends and peeps. Want to drop me a line directly? Shoot me an email at tbs@theblackmanshow.com. Remember to look after each other and treasure those close to you. Life's fleeting moments are absolutely precious. Until next time, peace, and I'm out.